Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, family, and friends. I hope you are doing well. It is 2021. I am so glad and happy um, to have this opportunity to touch base with many of you. I know it's been a while. Um, Frankly, there's a lot of news, nothing noteworthy. However, a lot of things going on, and obviously, I want to make sure that I touch base with you. You are in regards to anything that's going on out there in terms of financial topics, issues, grant, stimulus, taxes that affects us, our livelihood, affects the fact that many of us are business owners, whether we're entrepreneurs, Schedule C, gigs economy, or W-2 employees are affected by maybe even the um, 10% reduction from the state employees or the state employment, or many of us who are just regular folks who want to make sure that we don't pay more than our fair share of taxes, or making sure that we are getting that stimulus that's supposed to be on their way. If you haven't gotten it, and still plenty of time for us to get that. As many of you know, and you gotten my emails, many of you have reached out to me as well that the second stimulus that was supposed to be coming out last couple of weeks and even up to this tax season, they are updating 2020 tax year tax filing that will show and indicate that if you have not gotten any of the stimulus and you're qualified for those stimulus, meaning that your income threshold is limited to the qualification amount. If you're dependent or you're not claiming as a dependent, vice versa, they will credit you back in a form of a tax refund. Okay, so you're not technically losing anything. Maybe just the fact that you're not able to access it now. I have made many calls to the IRS, reached out to many of them, and the answer's always been the same. They are working on it. Give them time. COVID has truly affected them negatively in terms of not really having the workforce to process mails. Crazy enough, but that's the case. Not having the capacity to expedite and facilitate things such as the stimulus refunds, the various loans that they have, and also the tax returns. I mentioned to you that the healthcare, the 1095A, has been a sticking point because that is taxable and it is reportable from the state of California to the IRS. And major problem we had with the tax filing was that a lot of us did not know that there is a form that we have to fill out, the 1095A, that I consider income, because there's a premium tax credit that's given to you if you qualify. And if your incomes have somehow increased, that premium tax credit is required to be paid back. So that affected a few of us. Anyways, my topic today really is about 2021 and that year-end approval of the PPP, the Paycheck Protection 2, as well as the California grant. It's called California Relief Grant that many of you have already received my email, phone calls that you made to my office. I hope that you have been educated, enlightened, kept up to date as far as what's going on. But just really briefly, the applications, there's two rounds. The first round was last week, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us were notified and have submitted that already. February 13th is the date that they're proposing to give you a feedback or respond. That is totally a grant, not a loan, forgivable or not. It is a grant. Will be taxable, however, to the state of California next year, but we can deal with that later, right? We want to make sure that you put in the application. There will be a second round, I believe, next month, and feel free to reach out to us as well if you want more detail on that. With that second round, those who were not approved on the first round will be the first in line, and the gist of it is really for small businesses, sole proprietorship, Schedule C employer, gig economy, and folks who were affected generally about 25 to 30% from 2019 compared to our 2020. Generally, usually around the April, May, June time period when a lot of us were forced to stay at home, close our shop, or even just literally just didn't work at all. So that's should be something that we want to look into. There's also another program, and it's obviously through my email as well, the what they call a Main Street Small Business Credit, tax credit. And that one has a higher threshold, higher requirement for us to meet. That is, if you, for any quarters, I believe they're talking about the second quarter, which is the April, May, June that I mentioned earlier, comparing from 19 to 2020. If in any way 2020, due to COVID, that your business were on a decline and shows a reduction of about 50%, so that's the threshold, 50%, 50. If you can show that, then there is a tax credit, a $1,000 for every employee that you hire, or $1,000 against your sales tax liabilities. There's some nuances, there's some tricky items that needs to be considered as well. And frankly, if you have any questions, give me a call. We did help a bunch of folks apply for that. That one, like I said, it's a bigger threshold to satisfy. The credit is not as much because it's based on employee, but there is a flexibility that if you don't have certain employees requirement, but you have that revenue reduction qualification, that they will credit you for the sales tax that you owe them. Or God forbid, if you don't have sales tax liability and you don't have employee, I'm not sure how they're going to credit you for that, but that's something we can discuss that later. There is a third program, which is another program that California rolled out, and frankly, it's a little bit tricky. This is not supposed to be competing with that PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Loan, or the EIDL, which is the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan from the SBA. But however, it is a loan for small businesses, just in case they want to access some capital and some funds to help keep their business alive and around. And that requires, again, some substantiation that you have suffered a significant amount of revenue decrease. It didn't generally talk about the percentage-wise. However, when it comes to loans, they'll need to talk about collateral. They need to see your credit. They need to see all your tax returns up to date. This is a 4.25 rate for the loan. I believe this is a 3 to 5 year term fixed rate loan. Not very attractive to me, honestly, because I felt like if you really need a loan, I think the EIDL and the PPP options are a lot better to choose from. But in addition to what you have, maybe you already got the EIDL and the PPP and you want to access something from the state, this is another viable options. Again, this one extensions a little longer, and I believe that it's still going on. So give me a call. Our office is open literally 6-7 days a week for all your questions and inquiries. So briefly, I wanted to go over those three items because I know a lot of you have inquired, call us, and many of the applications are already been submitted. However, it's still a continuous process, open window for the loan and for the Main Street tax credit. Call me if you have any questions on that. I look forward to going back on another call and discuss a topic of the Paycheck Protection 2.0. So with that in mind, I appreciate your time. It's been long overdue, and I enjoy the day, and I'll talk to you soon in the next episode. Thank you.